Drake May, I just watched Dan Orlovsky this morning, would have been the number 2 overall pick for the draft if it was to go back instead of the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah, and that's right now. Just wait till he puts what he's going to put on field this weekend. He's going to say, Drake May should have been the number 1 overall pick.
Who's going to say that?
That's my Orlovsky right there. You just got a little preview.
Oh, I didn't know you had an Orlovsky.
I told you, I got these insiders. I got some of the people we talked to, and that's one of them.
Dan Orlovsky did something with Andrew Hawkins. Hawkins is brilliant.
Love Hawk.
Hawk is a great football mind, obviously a great pundit and analyst on ESPN. He's also a phenomenal entrepreneur. I think he has like an Oscar or some shit, I think, for something he created.
Yep.
He is into, and then he also has a virtual reality game that he basically co-created. Darius J. Butler is actually one of the voices on that particular game.
Offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator is his voice that's on it, so obviously we got a lot of pride in how that whole thing, and we love getting in the Oculus and doing our thing. Haven't been in a while, but you understand. Dan Orlovsky did something alongside Hawkins' virtual reality company, and this was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like this was, if this was live, which we have been told it is. We've been told this is live. It was live. Phenomenal work by the tech, phenomenal work by Orlovsky, and obviously Hawk setting the entire thing up, hosting it. It was, Dan Orlovsky takes it on the shins, rightfully so.
Yeah.
For a lot of shit. Like a lot of shit. Because he steps into the batter's box for everything.
That's wild.
You're talking about being the designated hitter for every topic that happens in sports.
Yes.
So they're just throwing him in a batter's box, right? Dan, wind him up like he's fucking Woody or whatever from Toy Story, and just send him out there. Hey, we need you to. Hey, why don't you? And he just every time he
I'll do it.
I mean, he's going. He's trying to hit home runs on everything. So naturally, with his position, he is going to put himself in spots to look like a dumbass. And that dumbass Dan happens a lot. But whenever he gets into his bag and is really doing what he is best at, which is breaking down the film, chit-chatting about actual football and decision-making from a quarterback perspective, from a guy that, has been in a lot of quarterback rooms, has seen it happen up close and personal, and a good communicator. It's like, this thing I assume they're going to win some awards for. They should. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure if it's the same exact programming or whatever, but actually earlier on in the year when Drake May wasn't playing, Mayo and some of the offensive coaches referenced Drake May getting a lot of reps in the virtual reality headset. I don't know if this is the same exact one, but like even NFL buildings are using this. And to what you said, breaking down the film and everything, that is why actually when Dan Orlovsky talks about Drake May, I feel better about it because I know he is watching the film and does know what he's talking about when it comes to that, even though he is a dipshit and he does a lot of dumb things.
Not all the time. He is
not all the time.
I hope he heard all this
sometimes.
because he did throw a hissy fit last week when Ty said his name about Coach Sirianni. Sorry, Dan.
Well, once again, that's on Dan because that is what Dan was doing. So, I feel like we're stern but fair with Dan Orlovsky.
Sure.
I feel like that is how we kind of treat him. But whenever he does stuff like this, it's like must watch.
Yes.
Hey, way to go, Dano.
Way to go, Dan.
This wasn't the 4th and 2 that won the game. This was a 3rd and 9 that's set up to get to the 4th and 2 that never. And now look, they're bringing pressures. This is what Spag does. We don't have enough. We got a running back here, okay? Here's the running back. Lights him up. See him. Here's Josh Allen's view. He's going to pick up this guy that's coming. He knows this guy is going to be free inevitably. Steps up in it.
That's your problem.
Yeah, that's your problem.
You got to handle that dude.
And it was
that's
awesome.
on the quarterback. He was to be able to talk the way his brain works.
Quarterback.
Like unbelievable. Talk through all that stuff, point, change,
and I don't think he had
highlight, and not fly, don't miss a beat, and then know exactly what's happening.
I don't think he had one flub with the tech either.
No, that's what
very
most impressive.
Because we assume, to your point, about him sometimes being a dipshit.
Yeah.
And we know he has that iPad. That's where he kind of made his bones was on that iPad.
Yeah.
But in that thing, he had to go from like highlighter to like arrows to circles to playing it, slowing it down back. Dan, way to go, buddy. That might be the future right there, Dan.
People were saying he's got a lot of experience in the VR without the football.
What do you think there? What do you mean?
Let's just say he's a big POV guy.
What do you mean?
Talking about pornos.
He's not going to be happy with you.
Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what people on the internet were saying.
I've heard about 1,000 ex-NFL quarterbacks come out and say, porn's the devil.
Yeah.
You're right.
Isn't that like kind of the thing?
Yeah, I co-sign it too.
Every once in a while, I'll just be scrolling through social media, and I'll just learn a lot about somebody very quickly that I've known for a long time. And boy, I guess the bopping gets to a point where people just can't. They look in the mirror.
A couple punters too.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Idle hands.
Always what?
Yeah.
Always the Watts.
Yeah, it is always the
Always the Watts that are seemingly saying porn's of the devil.
Yeah. They say it's like getting on a plane and thinking you're going to end up in Houston, and then all of a sudden you get off the plane and you're in Washington, and it's like, how did I get here? What am I doing?
Yeah. And then some people say, look, get a camera set up on yourself and how you look while you're doing it. It's like, I'm just trying to do social media right now.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to view some photos. I learned a lot about you and what you're doing in there. That's been a wild development for social media for me. Mm-hmm. Just like maybe not people that I've met like personally, but I know of, and we have an internet relationship.
Sure.
And I'm scrolling through, and all of a sudden there's a full dedicated, like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Just a full dedicated, hey, stop watching other people have sex. For your own enjoyment. It's like, holy shit.
Okay.
That's a real movement. So you're saying Dan isn't one of those guys?
I'm not saying he's one of those guys. I'm saying to our point about how well he handled the tech of the VR, people on the internet were saying, hey, is this guy handling the tech this well because of the fact that he's in there all the time doing some unsavory things? I don't think he's doing that.
No, we don't think that's the case at all.
At all.
VR's been around for a long time. It's been in football buildings for a long time. The backup quarterback, you remember how we filmed all the practices?
Yeah.
Even backup quarterback, that's how they got their reps, was on that. So I think he was a backup for a minute. And maybe I don't think it was long enough ago like we still had VR available.
What was that room in the back of the indoor training facility?
That was it.
There was
we had
like
the military come in and put that thing together and the virtual reality stuff, and you could program that thing so you could send, let's say you send the secondary and linebackers in there. And you put offensive formation, shifts, motions, this, that, and put a call sheet to it. Time in the off season.
That's awesome.
And they've got 50, 60 plays, and they could sit in there and program that thing, and they had the bodies, not X's and O, but real bodies, break a huddle, come to line of scrimmage, line up in a 2x2 motion from 2x2 to 3x1. The call would be sitting there, so the linebacker could sit there. Secondary would be in the back. They'd be in the front, just like they were lined up against this offensive formation. Okay, we're playing under 63 sky. They come out, okay, 2x2, we're playing 6. They go this way, we're going cover 3. Boom, boom, go through all that and get 50, 60, 70, 80 reps in no time.
Without any scout team guys having to mess up the card, without any run time or setup time. This is just getting plugged in and bang, it's here. Human error is in everything. When you talk about just like those minutes that you save and the reps that you're able to get and the wear and tear on anybody's legs that you can save, brilliant stuff. What year was that?
That was 15 or 16. And then when I went to Chicago.
15?
No, 2000. 2000.
Wow. I'm talking about Coach, so.
So when I went to Chicago in 2019 and 2020, right, that new facility they built up there was meeting rooms. We had an indoor turf like this, and then this huge wall. And so we would go out there and do defensive walkthrough, and we'd put on the program all the formations, shifts, motions, and all the calls. So we'd be standing there, make a call. They'd look at the wall. Bodies would be up on the wall, 2x2, 3x1, bunch, stacks, all different personnel groups, 12 personnel, 11 personnel, and we'd get through a shit ton of calls. Just to your point, like you didn't have to re-huddle, show a card, break a scout team out. You still did that outside some, but you could get done so much more.
Yeah, and I think whenever we went out to Stanford for a Thursday night football game, they actually had headset virtual reality, nowhere near how good that was there, but like a practice from the camera that you were talking about, and basically just showing. The quarterbacks were using it just to show what the looks could be, and then they would fire through. And then I think they were even answering questions, like a quiz. So I think there was even like a quiz. Where are you going with the ball with this? Where are you going with this? While you put it through. Technology's wild. It's only making the sport better. Speaking of making the sport better, ladies and gentlemen, from Attica, Ohio, a college football national champion, a Super Bowl champion, a Ryder Cup winner, and the all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, A.J. Hawk.
Yeah, Hawker.
A.J., do you guys have any virtual reality or tech stuff like that?
Yeah, what Chuck was talking about in Chicago, they put that in Green Bay. It was the same thing, like a small indoor walkthrough kind of facility with turf, and they had the big wall, and we do the same thing. Defensive walkthroughs, you can put it up there, motion, shift, everything. It's pretty sweet. I can't even imagine. I bet now it's way better.